There's a specific kind of losing that nobody talks about. Not the loss where the client ghosts you after a proposal. Not the one where someone says, "We went with someone cheaper." Those hurt, but at least you know what happened. The loss I'm talking about is quieter. It's the client who hired you, got through the engagement, was polite at the end, and never came back, never referred anyone, never answered your check-in email 6 months later. They didn't fire you. They just quietly filed you under fine and moved on. That kind of losing is almost always a deep questioning problem. And if you're a consultant, a freelancer, or anyone who sells expertise for a living, there's a good chance it's happening to you right now without a single piece of evidence that it is. Here's a pattern I've seen with consultants who are technically excellent but struggling to build a client base that compounds. They get on a discovery call. They ask smart questions. What are your goals? What's your timeline? What have you tried before? The client answers. The consultant listens. And somewhere in that conversation, both people agree on what the problem is quickly, comfortably, and wrongly, because the client told them the presenting problem. Not the real one. There's a difference. The presenting problem is what the client can articulate before they've thought carefully. We need more leads. Our team isn't executing. We need a new website. These are symptoms dressed up as diagnoses. And when a consultant accepts a presenting problem at face value, they build a solution for the wrong thing, and the client eventually figures that out, even if they can't explain how. The result isn't a refund request. It's silence. It's the sound of a relationship that won't compound. The MICO method is a framework for going deeper, not by interrogating clients, but by sequencing your questions in a way that earns the real answer. MICO stands for mechanism, impact, cost, outcome. Start with mechanism. Not what's the problem, but how does this problem actually happen? Walk me through the last time this went wrong. What triggered it? Who was involved? What broke down first? You're not looking for their diagnosis. You're watching them reconstruct the scene, then move to impact. Not how bad is it, but who feels this and how. Is it them, their team, their clients? Is it a daily friction or a quarterly crisis? When it hits, what stops because of it? This is where you learn whether you're solving a $5,000 problem or a $50,001, and most consultants never ask. Then cost. Not just financial, though that matters. What has this problem already cost them in time, in relationships, in opportunities they didn't take because this was still unresolved? This question is uncomfortable to ask. It's supposed to be. The discomfort is data. If they brush past it, the problem isn't as urgent as they said. If they go quiet for a moment before answering, you've hit something real. Then outcome. Not what do you want, but what does fixed actually look like? In 6 months, what's different? Not in your deliverables, in their life and business. What decision can they make then that they can't make now? What gets easier? What can they stop worrying about? Here is the single most important thing I want you to take from this. The client's first answer to any of these questions is almost never the true answer. It's a test to see if you're safe enough to tell the truth to. That's not manipulation. That's human. Think about the last time a doctor asked you how much you drink. Did you give them the number, or a number slightly below the number? We self-censor under uncertainty. Clients do the same thing in discovery calls, especially with new consultants they haven't worked with before. When you understand that, MICO stops being a sales technique and starts being a trust-building structure. Each question, asked well, signals, I am not here to confirm what you already think. I am here to understand what's actually happening. This is the piece that separates consultants who get referrals from consultants who get repeat business but never seem to grow. The ones who grow have clients who say to their peers, "She asked me something in our first conversation that nobody had ever asked me before." That sentence is worth more than any case study you'll ever write. Now here's where this lands in a real week. You have a discovery call on Thursday, maybe a prospect you've been looking forward to. You've done the homework, you know their industry, you've looked at their LinkedIn, you've got good questions ready. Here's what I want you to try. Before the call, write down the MICO sequence on a piece of paper, 4 words, nothing else. Mechanism, impact, cost, outcome. Put it somewhere you can see it. When the call starts, don't chase your prepared questions. Chase their answers. Every time they say something that sounds like a conclusion, the problem is our pipeline. Treat it as an opening, not an end point. Ask what's underneath it. And when they finish answering a cost question, give it 2 full seconds of silence before you say anything. 2 seconds feels long. It is long. It's also the moment where the real answer tends to come out, the one they didn't plan to say. After the call, within 2 hours, send 1 email. Not a proposal, not a summary of services. 1 email that names the one thing they said that you want to understand better. You mentioned that this problem has slowed down a hiring decision twice. I'd like to understand that connection better before I put together any thinking on next steps. That email does more for your close rate than any follow-up sequence ever will. The consultants who compound, the ones who 3 years from now have a waiting list and a referral base that feeds itself, are not necessarily smarter than the ones who are still grinding. They are better at this one thing. They learn to stay in the question longer than is comfortable, and they stopped treating the first answer as the final one. I want to know something. Think about a client conversation where you walked away thinking you understood the problem and later realized you didn't. What was the first sign that something was off? Drop it in the comments, not because it's a good exercise. Because the answers in there are probably more useful to everyone watching than anything I just said.